Behind closed doors, some of the top CEOs of the United States are admitting something they will never say on TV. They will never say it in a shareholder letter. They will never say it in front of Donald Trump, which is that Trump's economic policies are destroying the economy. These are not progressives. These are not Democratic strategies. These are strategists. These are CEOs. Many of them are Republicans. These are executives who benefit from Trump's tax cuts, who love deregulation. They don't want to be called anti-business, but they are admitting what they see, which is tariffs raise prices, chaotic trade wars that freeze investment are bad for business, and politically bullying the Federal Reserve, as Donald Trump has tried to do, is not a good idea. Now, the tariffs. CEOs told a Yale leadership forum that 2/3 of their companies are being hammered by Donald Trump's trade policies. They estimate that 80% of the costs land squarely on the American firm and the consumer. You hear these rumors, oh, the companies will eat some of the tariffs or other countries will eat tariffs. It is not happening. It is 80% of it is floating down to consumers. Consumers are not going to pay $50 for a hammer. They're not going to pay triple for clothes just to make Trump feel like he did a big boy. Second is uncertainty. This is another word that kept coming up. Trump changes the rules on a whim. The tariffs are on, the tariffs are off. The supply chain shifts overnight. CEOs say we're holding back investments. We're shelving projects. We're freezing hiring. And it's not because they don't want to grow. It's because they don't want to look like fools when Trump hopefully wakes up and realizes this was a bad idea. I'm going to do a 180 on that. I'm changing the next thing. They don't want to be left holding the bag. And that's not a position of strength. That's paralysis. Third is the Federal Reserve. Trump has spent months just hammering on Jerome Powell, slash interest rates, do it, do it, do it. Now the Fed has finally done the 25 basis point cut, but this is all an attack on the independence of the Fed that business CEOs see and they go, that's not good. Historically, that's not a good thing. There's a lot at stake there. If the world stops believing in the independence of the Fed, it could be bad for the dollar. And then you've got the part that fewer people are talking about, which is this obsession Trump has with trying to control private markets. The America First president acting like a central planner, the likes of which you would expect, in Beijing or in Moscow or in other places. So Trump is also, I'm not praising or criticizing. I'm just saying CEOs are worried because Trump's moving away from what we know of as free market capitalism, is moving towards state-run capitalism. So why don't the CEOs go public and call Trump out? I think they know what happens when you cross Donald Trump. They've seen what happens when a company or a CEO becomes a target. You get the boycotts, the social media tirades, and it's not good. Threats to your contracts all of a sudden start. Now, the irony is that in public, Trump is still getting the dear leader praise from CEOs. Zuckerberg and Bezos and Sam Altman, they show up. It's so incredible what you're doing, sir. We're so glad that we finally got competent leadership and, whatever. And privately, they're going, this is very much not good. This is bad for our customers. This is bad for our employees. This is bad for our business. And when they see the layoffs starting and they realize the dollar is not going as far for our workers, they're going to be in a very difficult situation. So this is not even left versus right. This is really about results. And one of the things about CEOs, many CEOs are political. There's no question. Sometimes they're publicly political. Most of them vote and have private politics that they may or may not espouse publicly. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of downsides to shareholder value being the number one priority. But one of the things about it is that it can transcend politics. And for a lot of these CEOs, they like Trump's tax cuts for the rich. They may like what Trump is doing on vaccines or whatever. It goes beyond that. And it's this guy is wrecking the business environment for us. And this is going to be a building problem for Donald Trump, a very, very serious building problem. Now, on the bonus show today, we will talk about the return of Jimmy Kimmel to his show. But is anybody going to air the show? That's the question. Trump is also putting pressure on Pam Bondi to charge his political foes. This could be a real legal problem. And finally, the annual hunger report has been canceled by the Trump administration. You don't want pregnancy? Don't test. You don't want autism? Don't evaluate people for autism. You don't want to acknowledge that there's hunger in the country, in part due to your policies? Cancel the report about hunger. All of those stories and more on today's bonus show. Sign up at joinpakman.com. I'll see you then. Every time you Google your name, you will probably find dozens of sites that expose your personal information. This can include phone number, home address, family details. It's just sitting there waiting to be scraped or abused. Incogni is a privacy service. They go after these sites on your behalf. They contact the data brokers. They demand your data be removed, which the brokers are legally required to do. Incogni will automatically remove your information from hundreds of the biggest and most notorious data broker sites, but you're not just limited to those. You can use Incogni's custom removal if you find your info on a website outside of Incogni's default list. The team at Incogni will work to get that information removed. This is how you protect yourself and your family from identity theft, financial scams, harassment, even AI-powered profiling by ad companies. And Incogni's data removal process is the only one verified independently by Deloitte. This gives them a unique level of credibility. Try Incogni risk-free and get 60% off when you go to incogni.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman. The link is in the description.